Well, good morning, everybody, and it is today, April 21st, 2021, just in case you're watching us in the future, so that you know when we are. So welcome, people of the future. Anyway, it is Wednesday, and somebody forgot to tell Mother Nature that we should be done snowing, because we got a little tiny bit of snow last night, just enough to cover things in white. So I'm certain that will be gone in short order. If it's not almost all, it's almost all gone already. But at any rate, we are working our way through the 12th chapter of Acts, and we are going to look at verses 6 to 11 today in the 12th chapter of Acts. If you remember, yesterday we left poor Peter sitting in prison. He had been arrested. But before that, more tragically, James, the brother of John, has been executed with the sword. And that's all they say about it. As I mentioned yesterday, that's quite strange and unusual, because James was one of the inner circle. He wasn't just a second-rate guy. One of the first people called, one of the people to Transfiguration and such, and so he was a major player, as they say. So he has been martyred, and emboldened by that, Herod has now seized Peter and is intending to do the same with Peter. And that's where we leave off, we left off with everyone in the city, in the church rather, praying earnestly for the deliverance of Peter, for him to be saved from this fate that Herod has in mind for him. So let's look at verses 6 to 11 and see what God has in store for Peter here in the book of Acts this morning. The very night before Herod was going to bring him out, Peter, bound with 2 chains, was sleeping between 2 soldiers, while guards in front of the door were keeping watch over the prison. Suddenly an angel of the Lord appeared, and a light shone in the cell. He tapped Peter on the side and woke him, saying, "Get up quickly," and the chains fell off his wrists. The angel said to him, "Fasten your belt and put on your sandals." He did so. Then he said to him, "Wrap your cloak around you and follow me." Peter went out and followed him. He did not realize that what was happening with the angel's help was real. He thought he was seeing a vision. After they had passed the first and the second guard, they came before the iron gate leading into the city. It opened for them of its own accord, and they went outside and walked along a lane. Then suddenly the angel left him. Then Peter came to himself and said, "Now I am sure that the Lord has sent his angel and rescued me from the hands of Herod and from all that the Jewish people were expecting." Okay. This is one of those strange stories. I don't know if anybody's ever had a dream where you're going along, maybe you're driving your car, and suddenly you decide to drive off a cliff, and the next thing you know, your car is flying and you're out over the water, and you decide to land your car in the water, and suddenly your car becomes a speedboat, and you're going along, and it all seems very normal, and suddenly you realize, wait a minute, my boat is red and my car was blue, and then this must be a dream. And so then you wake up, sort of kind of that thing. That's sort of what's going on with Peter here, but except for when he wakes up, it wasn't a dream. It was something that really happened. He has been delivered, as they say. But remember, yesterday we talked about that there were 4 squads of soldiers assigned to guard him. There's not just a few there, and it talks about this, that he's bound with 2 chains, not just one. He's double bound, and he's sleeping with a soldier on either side. Now, it doesn't say whether he was chained to the soldiers, but that wasn't uncommon, that they would chain them to the soldiers. And since he has one on either side, it makes one think that perhaps he is chained to each soldier, and wrapped around him, so that he couldn't even hardly move without them being aware. And then there are guards in front of the door. And so the angel appears, and the chains miraculously drop away, and the soldiers are left in a stupor or slumber, and they are not aware and pay no attention to Peter and this angel. And then he goes by, and they don't just pass by one set of guards, they pass by 2 sets of guards, it says, and then they go through the iron gate. And so they are then released. And it wasn't until that point that the angel disappears, and then Peter is left and comes to himself, it says. Then Peter came to himself and said, "Now I'm sure that the Lord has delivered me." So then he goes on. But the point here is we're going to revert back to what we talked about yesterday, the praying part. The whole church is deep and fervently in prayer, and they are just pleading for the deliverance of Peter with God. And it's the very night before that Herod's going to have Peter executed. It is, as they say, 11:59 p.m. It's literally the last chance that Peter has. And it's at that point that God acts a miraculous delivery. Many times in my lifetime, especially with Gail, we've been things that we've been dealing with, and we're fervently in prayer about it, and hopeful that God will deliver us. And so many times, excuse me, the deliverance, the thing that would offset or deliver you, or bring you forth, protect you from whatever it was that you were dealing with, the clock would be at 11:59 p.m. when that thing from God came, that answer from God came. It sometimes seems that it's almost like God's wanting to see if you will give up before. And what is our, how deep is our faith? I don't like to think that God's testing you, but it does seem that there is many times it's right at the last chance that this catastrophe can be averted, that some answer comes. And sometimes the answer comes in a form you didn't have any clue was going to come. Many times that's the way it is. It's just a surprise. And sometimes it's just exactly the minimum of what you needed, whatever it might be. Say it was a bill that you needed to pay, and at the last minute that amount of money somehow came to you, for an example. But it could be lots of different things. And that's what we have here with Peter. It is 11:59 p.m. When the clock strikes midnight, he's going to be executed. Metaphorically, he's going to be let out the next day, and some way or another Herod's going to do away with him, whether he's going to have him run through with a sword like he did with James, or he's crucify him, or what have you. We don't know. It doesn't really matter. The point is that he has been delivered because of this faith, not only of Peter's faith, but the entire church's faith. In fact, that the entire church believed that somehow God would get him out of this mess. And had God not, that would have probably might have been the very end of it. What would have happened next to James the Just, who for some reason seems to have been protected, because we know he goes on till that's the year 67, which is, again, this is around and about the year, early to mid 40s is what's going on here. We don't know exactly the date, but it's somewhere in the 40s. So we know that at least another 20 years plus, James is still preaching in the temple. So that's where I'm going to leave you at today. Be fervent in your prayer. Be faithful in your prayer. Have faith. God will get us through this. This isn't always the way that we expect it, though. God has, he's a little bit smarter and wiser, and sees all the options that we don't see. So take care. Have a blessed day. And as I always say, please, please, please be a blessing to someone today. We'll see you all in the morning. Bye-bye.